Hey, I think we are going to go ahead and get started. We anticipate people will continue to join here over the next 10 minutes, but we don't want to take advantage of our panel's time or any of our other guests that have joined us for this evening. So welcome everybody to this month's meeting of the Central Ohio Investor Network, also known as COIN. We're happy to have everybody here. Hope that you all did okay in the blizzard of 21, which we haven't had any real winter weather in a while. So it was kind of fun to have a little bit of a snowstorm, but hope you all did all right there. As Amanda, you might have heard a couple moments ago, the meeting is going to be recorded. So if you prefer not to be recorded, you may want to go ahead and turn off your camera. We would hope that our panelists would like to be visible. So if you, hopefully you'll be able to leave your camera on throughout. Also, if you are not speaking, please make sure your mic is muted. We all know how that works when you're listening to someone else's chatter in the background. So let's try and keep an eye on your mic being muted. However, please feel free to use the chat box. Some of our group here is going to be monitoring the chat box for questions that you can pose to the panelists or just any other comments on the top on content that's happening. And the questions will get forwarded to the moderator to bring to the panelists, but also feel free to use the chat box to just say hello and take another opportunity to interact with each other while the meeting is going on. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, March 16th, which is 4 weeks from today. Topic TBD, keep an eye on the COIN Facebook page and for the emails that'll come out with that topic here in the next week or two. Also, just a reminder to keep an eye on the COIN Facebook group. It's a nice forum, place for people to exchange ideas, exchange resources, exchange experiences, and make connections with people that hopefully you take out in the real world and go have lunch, maybe go work on a deal together. I know that a lot of people in the COIN group are doing deals together, have done deals together, have worked together in various capacities over the years. So please, that's another forum where we can all, talk with each other and work together. Finally, I would like to just ask if anyone has any kind of general announcements that maybe you stumbled across here in the last day or two that you think you might want to bring to the group's attention. If anyone has any open announcements, we're going to pretty much keep it to real estate unless you got something you really want to share that's not real estate related. But feel free to jump in if you do. And scene. That was one of those thespian jokes, Mark Katie. All right, well, if, in that case, if you do think of something, please go ahead and just put it up in the chat box. Otherwise, we are going to get this thing rolling and we are going to start off with this month's member spotlight. So I'm going to pass this over to Mr. Nick.
All right, you guys, welcome to this month's Investor Spotlight. This is where we introduce a fellow COIN member and ask them a few questions about their wheelings and dealings in real estate, as well as some personal information about that individual. This month, Nicholas Eiffel is our guest or our member. Do you go by Nick? You go by Nick, right?
I do, but I appreciated the full name.
All right, awesome.
There's two of us, so one had to be Nick, and someone has to be Nicholas.
I'm gonna take Nick, and you can have Nick. Okay.
I haven't earned the ability to shorten my name yet.
Well, thanks for participating. Your question number one is: what is your primary strategy that you are currently implementing to make money in real estate today?
Yeah, so I think I fall in line with most people that are jumping into real estate, which is kind of the sexy silver object, which is flipping. So I am into flipping and I am in it for the creative side. So I actually come from a video background. So I did video and marketing. And so for me, it's really the transformation of the home of an entire new experience from what it used to be. So I'm flipping. I made $5,000 on my first one. I made $1,600 on my second one. And after I made so little money, I was like, and still enjoyed it. I was like, cool, I'm in. But now I'm making money. Now I'm making real money.
That's awesome. Gosh, I might have been discouraged with those first two numbers.
I was.
I kind of want to talk more about that later. Second question, what role has networking played in your real estate business?
Oh man, every single second, and every little bit. I mean, networking is the number one thing. So I don't do a lot of direct marketing for my deals, which means I'm networking with a lot of wholesalers and realtors for a lot of those off-market deals. But even just learning it. So what value can I bring to the table? And a lot of the time when I was first getting started, it meant like I'm really good at video and marketing and social branding, all of that good stuff. So I brought that to a few people that were in need of it, and they taught me real estate in exchange. So I think for a lot of newer investors, they don't have to, their value doesn't have to be in real estate, which is super important. But networking is absolutely everything.
Amazing. I love that. Third question, what would you tell yourself 2 years ago if you could?
It's not too early to get started. So 2 years ago, I was still in college, and I knew that real estate was what I was going to be in. I actually wanted to drop out at the end of my freshman year to become a builder, but my parents were like, "No, you're going to do all 4 years." But I think the moral of that story is it's never too early. It's never too late to change what you're doing, whether that's into real estate, out of real estate, whether you want to go do Airbnbs or you want to go do flipping or wholesaling. Like you just want to pivot. Never too early, never too late. Perfect time is now.
I love that. Last question, and actually, I'm going to pivot a little bit. Instead of asking something unique about you, I'd like you to elaborate a little bit more on your video expertise and what you do specifically, if you don't mind.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. So in college, I was just looking to make a little bit of extra cash. And so I got into filming like sorority films, which are the cringiest thing ever to watch. Um, and then I was looking to kind of expand on that. So I got into weddings, and then I built like this full scale wedding business. We were doing 32 weddings in a summer, from my junior to senior year of college. And then I just fell in love with this story or this idea of storytelling and all of the different mediums that you can do that in. So it just kind of expanded from there. And it really like it kind of stopped as wedding. And now I just do it for hobby, but for people that want to expand their networks. And so to go like to tie this back to the second question, when you talk about the purpose of networking, like a lot of people have always said, like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But now it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So there's some 35 people on this, and I don't know all 35 people, but all 35 people at least know me in some sense now that I'm up here. So I think being able to really articulate yourself strongly across social media is and have a strong brand is so important. Just like you guys, obviously. I know you guys get that fully.
Yep, I couldn't agree with you more. Nick,
Cool.
thanks so much for your time. I think we're going to find a better way to get all of our Spotlight members out to the group. But if you guys want to reach out to Nick or need his information, you can always reach out to the leadership team and we'll happily connect you guys.
Love it. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Peace.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. And I'm actually one of those people who doesn't know you personally, so I definitely look forward to reaching out after this, and we'll change that for sure. But thanks for joining tonight and sharing a little bit about yourself. And now we're going to jump over to Amanda for a quick real estate market update.
Hey everyone, I don't have a ton of information. Not much has changed since last month. If you've been here in previous meetings, you'll know that I've said previously that the market is just kind of moving along at a crazy pace. We have the lowest inventory that we've ever had in the history of our market. So as of just about an hour before coin started, we had 1,270 single family homes on the market, which, to give you some perspective, a balanced market here would be around 5,000 to 6,000. And at the peak of the recession, it was a little over 20,000 listings. So those are single family homes. And usually whenever I look at the overall market compared to just Franklin County, so just our center kind of core of Central Ohio, it's pretty much always half. Half of the listings are in Franklin County, the other half are outside the county. For people who are interested in multifamily homes, we have multifamily properties. There are just 93 on the market. And again, about half of those in Franklin County. So only 49 multifamily properties on the market right now. So it's just been a very aggressive time. Anyone trying to help people buy homes, got to get really creative with your offers because you're most likely going to be competing against 20 or more other buyers. And so there are definitely ways to make offers more aggressive that may not be price related, but it's definitely time that we got to get creative. So I just wanted to keep that super short this month because we're looking forward to hearing from all of our panelists. And thank you all for being here.
Great. And we are going to go ahead and kick it over to Mark Cady, who is going to be the moderator for this evening's panel. And this evening, we're going to be talking about what is success. Obviously, we're all people who are trying to find our own version of success, our own story of success. And we all think for some reason, real estate's a good way for us to go about doing that. However, everyone has a different reason for being here or for doing what they're doing. And we want to hear from some people that we consider to be successful and hear what they think about success. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mark Cady and get that conversation started.
Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for coming in today and taking a look at what we're trying to talk about this month, which is that success story. I'm always looking at Facebook pictures, not too often, because if you know me, I'm not that much of a Facebook guy, but there's a ton of videos the same. Look at this. I have this car. I have 18 checks of wholesales and I'm killing it and I'm amazing. That's what you see out there. And guess what? That's some people's definition of success, and that's fantastic. That's not everybody's definition of success. And we have people who have those stories to brand new people. And I think what really makes Coin different is setting your own path. And that's what today is about. So we brought in some great panelists. I want to get to them really quickly here. So I'm going to do some quick introductions. Panelists, go ahead and just unmute yourself so that way you're ready to jump in at any time. I'm going to do a quick introduction and then we'll go into some quick Q&As. Anybody that has a follow-up question, please just add it in the chat in terms of our viewers so we can get that back out to you. Okay. But I'm going to start first with Justin Fox. Justin's new to Coins, first time he's ever been here. I've done a lot of stuff with him over the time, but here's a quick little insight to who he is. He began his adventure in real estate back in 2009 with a good old house hack. I don't even know house hacking was called house hacking in 2009, but then in 2013 became a real estate attorney. Soon after that, he started wholesaling, flipping, in Franklinton. That's kind of where he kind of got his start at mostly. He also then moved into BRRRR strategy, starting to build a little rental portfolio. And he's utilized a ton of partnerships. So if you have partners or thinking about doing partnering up, Justin's got a lot of experience with bringing new partners in, moving partners out, and something that a lot of us I don't hear about doing. And very creative in that regard as well. Recently, he's moved into doing more of the vacation home Airbnb strategy in actually Kentucky, finding great opportunities in places outside of Columbus, but from this home-based location. During this whole process, he got married in 2018. He has a 2-year-old daughter and one on the way. He's an outdoor enthusiast. Please welcome Justin Fox. Justin, give us a little wave. Thank you. Our next panelist is a really interesting one to me. I've known him for a couple of years now. Tim and Melissa Schwartz. They also are new to Coin, but they're a husband and wife tag team duo. They both have their roles and responsibilities they do, but they make a lot of decisions together. They broke into the real estate market by moving from California to Ohio and converting their primary home into a rental property. So that's kind of a not really a house hack, but sometime using that primary home as a way to catapult them. In 2017, when they moved to Ohio, they actually joined the Home Investors Network. And if you don't know what the Home Investors Network is, you buy a franchise of that, and that's the We Buy Ugly Houses group. So they are the ones who really started this whole wholesaling, bigger picture that everyone's now doing. They then turned that into the BRRRR strategy here in Columbus, kind of focusing on the suburban markets, but also doing some business over in Newark as well, too, finding some success there. They sold their California home, made a great profit on that, but said we're going to utilize that to catapult our business forward and really went into a lot more burst strategy and doing some lipstick and small rental fixed flips properties. Throughout the whole process, though, of doing all this moving around, and they have a lot bigger story I can't even go into, but they also have 3 kids, 10, 8, and 2. So doing a ton of stuff, raising a family. So all the people that says, I'm just too busy. No, you're not. You can get it done. You just got to make a plan. Little background, Tim flew helicopters for the Marines. Melissa was involved in education, but don't let that fool you. They're both risk takers. Please welcome Tim and Melissa Swartz. Give a little wave. All right. The next dynamic duo I have is Jen Valentine and Anthony Valentine. Now, Anthony goes by Tony or Roger. Don't ask that story. It's a whole different thing. But Jen's been a real estate agent since 2008. She decided to become a broker agent in 2014. She currently has 12 agents working under the name Val Equity Real Estate. Tony runs Val Equity Construction. He does major whole house renovation and additions. So if you can convince him to come do some work for you, good luck. But, you know, and he does some nice high-end work for sure. They purchased their first rental just last year. It was a duplex in Gahanna. I still remember the day that Jen called me up and said, is this a good deal? I said, absolutely. If not, I'll buy it. But they also have 2 kids, 12 and 14. Jen's dream vacation is basically any beach, whereas Tony's dream vacation is wherever Jen says we're going. So please welcome Jen and Tony Valentine. All right. Our last person, our last panelist is someone we all know already, but we'll do the introduction anyway. His first rental house was actually a house hack. I just learned this. It was through house hack back in 2009, where he had his college buddies living with him, paying him rent. So that's something I didn't know and really awesome. Him and a partner then decided to start core development back in 2015, specializing in off-market purchases where they rehab, sell, or burst strategy it to build a huge rental portfolio. They currently are purchasing over 60 plus units per year of both single family, multifamily, and apartment buildings. And they have a rental portfolio of over 180 properties right now. And they also manage them all. So they are not only purchasing them, but they're managing every single property. They have 8 employees to make all this happen. He is an original founding member of Coin, married 10 years, has kids, 3 of them, 8, 6, and 4. He has been on a keto diet for the last 4 years, currently training to do his first triathlon this summer. Please welcome back founding member, John Horner.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. You like that, John?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, let's get right into it. I mean, the first question that we had really is, how do you define success? So I'm going to start backwards. John, go ahead and give me, how do you define success, and maybe how has it changed over time?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've thought a lot about this over the last week. I think generally, if you're doing what makes you happy, I think that makes you successful. So for me, that was quitting my W-2 job to go on my own and be a full-time real estate investor. But I have a lot of friends who they love their day job, right? And they enjoy growing their real estate wealth or their retirement through real estate on the side. And I would consider that successful too, right? So we all have different goals. And I think you can't define success without knowing what people's goals are. I mean, yeah, obviously, like my goals have changed over the years. 8 years ago when I started, my only goal was to quit my corporate job, right? It took me 2 years to do that. And if you had asked me back then, that would have been my only goal, right? But as soon as I quit that job and went full time, now my goal is to get 10 rental properties, right? Then I get 10 rental properties. Then my goal might be 50 rental properties, right? But I think, you know, as far as numbers and finances, you're always going to have another level to go to. I mean, I consider my goals, or when I think of success, I think more of personally, you know, am I happy? Am I doing what I want to do? Can I spend time with my kids when I want to? Can I coach their teams? Can I take a day off when I want to? Right. So it's more about freedom to me than it is about finances.
Okay, great. Hey, Melissa, you and Tim, you know, I love your story. I've been talking a long time, you know, with our coin leadership saying I wanted to get you guys on. So I'm so thankful you came on. Tell me how, you know, you guys I want to know what you guys feel about success. Like, how are you guys talking about it and setting up your goals and just take it from there. Tell me a little bit more about what you're doing.
Definitely day by day. So we're learning as we go. I think for me personally, it's to mimic a lot of what John said. It's happiness, balance, and contentment. And so to have those things and to be able to have time then to spend freely with my family and my friends and to be there for my children. We've all learned a lot this past year. And one of the things that I've learned is that success for me really is that I was able to spend this past year teaching my kids at home because I had no other option and I had the career that allowed me to do so. So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and for me, it's really a state of mind which I'm still striving to achieve, where I'm content with what I have. I'm happy with my health, friendship, nature, and I'm not worried about the things that I don't have. It's not easy, but I'm working to get there myself.
Very good. Now, Jen and Tony, you guys are also our other real estate dynamic duo here, but really a little bit different because you're both taking on more traditional roles, but also dealing with this COVID situation and having children. How have you coped? How's that, you know, how are you guys defining your success and how you want to move forward from, you know, from here and the rest of your life?
Well, and I would say with COVID, we're in a very lucky situation because our kids are a little bit older. They're 12 and 14. So those of you who have these young children, you know, trying to manage teaching them school or, you know, working from home, I give you all the credit because we're in a little bit different situation there. But yeah, I mean, I think as you guys have also mentioned, the flexibility has been amazing, especially during COVID. So that we can kind of tackle that at home. And then we're very lucky we have family in town. But with COVID, that's also changed things because some family are comfortable, you know, with being together and some are not. So, you know, that has been a little bit difficult. And, you know, in terms of success, and, you know, I guess we kind of mirror a little bit what some of the rest of you have said. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily the numbers. You know,
it was for me.
He is more into the numbers for sure, 100%. And I would say it started out for me, you know, the focus on family. You know, I've always wanted to make sure that the family is happy and healthy. And, you know, my work situation, you know, after, you know, I had my first, I went part-time, then went back full-time. After I had my second, I went part-time and then went back full-time. And in terms of measuring that, that's not something you can measure. Obviously, we're all kind of hoping and praying that we're, you know, doing the right thing there. But one thing that I did find helpful, because I think I see this more with moms. I don't know if it's dads as much, but I feel like with moms, we have this guilt of, are we doing enough for our family? You know, you want to work, you want to be with your family, and it's this struggle. And actually, after we had our first, I'll never forget, we were talking and I said, you know, I wanted to stay at home. You know, and I think Tony knew that I'm not a stay-at-home mom. You know, that is much harder work than for me to actually go to work. And so, you know, ultimately I went back to work and that's a much better thing for me. But one of my dear friends, Emily Smith, and talking about, you know, how do you balance this? She said, you know what, Jen, she goes, do me a favor. And she's a coach. And so, you know, she has all these ideas. She said, for 30 days, write down how you spend every minute of the day. Sounds like a really difficult task. And I will tell you the times that I've done this, I've done it a couple times over the last couple of years. The times I've done it have usually been in January, February, March. The real estate market, you know, once we get into spring market, there's no time for this. But I thought it was interesting when I actually did document the time that I spent, and I realized, you know what, I actually do have more balance in my life than I thought I did. And really was a relief to me, I guess, and, made me feel more content, I guess you would say, more successful, like, I'm doing that. So in terms of the success part and for me, it's been the family and
Well,
making
I
sure.
think both of us having that flexibility has definitely been a big relief, and then not worrying about the numbers because we fortunately have stayed busy enough to pay the bills and loosen our belt and relax a little bit on that. As my business has continued to kind of be around year after year, we've been doing this now for 8 years. I think for me in business, I look at success as repeat business and referrals. We've been very fortunate to have a lot of people call us, whether it's for coming back to do work at their house, or maybe they call us because they trust our opinion and they want to know something that's going on with their house. I talk to a lot of investors because my background, I'm also a licensed home inspector and chimney sweep, and we've done a little bit of everything. I've flipped some houses in the past, and so we kind of know a lot about houses in general. So whether we're working on your house or somebody we can point people in the right direction.
I think that's a great measuring stick whenever you are getting that return or a follow-up call. It means you did something right. And I know that about a lot of our panelists here, that they're into doing the right business first. Making money seems to be a secondary a lot of times. Now, Justin, I've known you for, I'm not sure how many years. I think we're going on about 4 years, maybe, or so. And, you kind of transition from, hey, single guy, working really hard, doing a lot of things. Now you're the family guy. So along with telling me about your, definition of success, tell me how much has it changed, or if at all, since you now become married and kids?
Well, it's certainly changed. There's no doubt about that. I'm like everybody else. I think of success as quality of life and the ability to have the freedom to, live your life in the way that you want to live it. When I was younger and first getting to know Mark, that was a money focus to me. I thought I need to figure out how to make as much money as possible because that's going to make me feel successful and it's going to make me be successful. That's what everybody's going to see, and I'm going to be able to do what I want to do. So we started flipping houses, and I learned quickly that the money was not necessarily the most important part to that. And luckily, I think I was starting to learn that as I was approaching my family life, because now it is far more important to me to be able to live the life that I want to be able to live and spend my time with my free time with my wife and with my daughter, which, before I would work my day job and I would go home at night, and that would be when I would do real estate. So I would spend my evenings and looking for deals and trying to find, the next big thing. But now I can't do that. So, I think that like everybody else, that freedom is what I'm looking for. And the search for that takes away a lot of my freedom, but I'm committed to it. And I think that it's, finding a way to, you want to maximize your input, or you want to take your input to maximize your output. And if that takes time, I'm okay with that for certain, quality of life.
Awesome. All right. So each one of you been on a journey so far, but tell me, someone came up with a great question here that I really like, is there one habit, one resource, one skill that you're like, oh, that was a turning point in getting me to where I am today? Let's go ahead and start with Melissa and Tim.
For us, as you know, we're part of a network, a franchise model of home investors, and so it was a risk to choose that path, and it has paid out for us in various ways. But I think that what I learned from that is choose a system and a process, learn it very well, and trust it, and then you will move forward. But if you don't trust it, it's going to be this never-ending cycle of what am I doing next? And so it's not always been easy to trust, and sometimes we'll be in positions thinking, is this really going to work out? But when you kind of let go and allow that trust in, that has helped us. And then I think as an underlying piece for both of us, I can say is being incredibly grounded in our values at all times to allow us to have that trust.
Mm-hmm. And kind of piggybacking off that, the trust piece is there's lots of fears, and the ability to continually overcome those fears and take the plunge and jump in, whether it's learning to fly helicopters or joining the corporate world or leaving the corporate world or, flipping houses. It's hard at first, but if it's something that you're continually doing, getting used to operating in the yellow or the red, in uneasiness, it becomes habit, and then, it becomes easier and easier.
Great. John, go ahead. You got, I didn't really know until I talked to you the other day a little bit more that how fast your journey has gone. You really started in 2009. You told me a great story. Please make sure you share it somewhere tonight regarding what you and your wife used to do, to hustle and get to where you're at. But what is there, like one or two that was the pivotal thing that made the difference? Oh, John, you got to take your mute off. Hey, John, you got to take your mute off.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think the number one thing for me was networking. I was big on bigger pockets back pretty close to when it started. That's where I actually met my business partner, and I sold my first couple deals to him. We worked well together. And then pretty quickly we found lenders on there. We found wholesalers. We bought properties. So, and obviously Coin, I've met a ton of good people, bought properties from them, sold properties to them, built relationships and stuff. And the other thing is, like, you can read a book about a certain topic and hopefully you can implement that. But if you sit down with somebody who's actually done it, and they can give you a step-by-step guide on how to do that, it's going to be way more effective than reading a book and then hopefully being able to do it on your own, right? I think that's the number one thing. I have a second one, which is journaling, which is something that I've done for 10 years or so. I just think it's very important to keep your goals in front of you every day. People, New Year's Eve or, January 1st, they set a new goal for themselves for the year and then they forget about it, right? If you don't look at those goals and tell yourself that you're going to achieve those goals every single day, it's going to be a lot harder to actually achieve those goals. So those are the two that I have.
Mark, you're muted.
Mark, now you're on mute, buddy.
Sorry, my own fault.
Not just me.
Tony, go ahead. You go first before Jen this time.
Yeah, I'll try to see if I can slow her down a little bit. One of the key things that we've kind of came up with basically is honesty for what I do in a business with customers, with contractors, and with myself. It's very easy to go to a customer's house and look at a project and they tell you a budget. You want to try to stick with it. And you have to be honest with them, whether you can do it or not before you get into an uncomfortable conversation down the road. So being honest that way, being honest with myself, whether taking on a project, that you can do or can't do, kind of like John was saying about reading in a book. First time somebody asked me to do addition, sure, I can do it, but you just kind of have to jump in and do it. And then also with contractors, holding their feet to the fire, being honest with them when they don't do the job that you hired them to do. So for us, my side of the business, just kind of being honest all the way through, looking at every situation from that perspective or that angle has been a key for our business to where we're at.
And I'd say best resource has really been people. When I look at what's been really the biggest help in my business, the people that we've surrounded ourselves with, they've been great resources. Like you said, you kind of learn from each other. So I don't know. I would say the best resource for me has been people.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
Okay. How about you, Justin? What you've had a lot of different partners come and go. Probably the most creative of the things that I know of the panelists. You got the most creative things I've seen done. How did you get into some of the creative things? Kind of maybe explain that a little bit. but what's really kind of been the driving force mostly to your success?
Well, I think relationships and consistency, which is kind of the theme of what I'm hearing. I mean, that's no different than it is for me. We're not reinventing the wheel. There are people that know how to do every aspect that we do in real estate. People have done it before. So the ability to find those people and to listen to those people and absorb everything you can from them. I mean, Mark, you're one example. When we first started talking about the lending world, my mind was blown. I just had no idea. I had never even thought through some of those things. And what I learned about partnerships is that they're extremely difficult. But if you find the right relationship there, it can broaden your horizons. So, I'm looking for partners always that can complement what I'm able to do. And that may be from a financial standpoint, that may be from a construction standpoint, that may be from a property management standpoint. But I really believe that if you don't complement each other, it won't work long term. So it sounds maybe a little harsh to say it like this, but if you don't need my skills and I don't need yours, eventually it will dissolve. And that doesn't mean that it will dissolve in a negative way, but we have to be able to help each other. And the way that we can really do that is by being consistent with each other. And I'll piggyback, I think it was Roger who said, you have to be able to trust people and trust that they're going to tell you the truth. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be good news. And if you can learn what you're going to get from someone and they can learn what they're going to get from you, it gets so much easier over time. Where the beginning of a partnership, like any relationship, is hard because you're trying to feel each other out. And I've had partnerships that, didn't work out, and we found that out quickly. And I think that if you have to be a good communicator to maybe part ways in a good way, which is not always how it works, but I've been lucky in that respect, knock on wood. But I think that, if you can just be consistent with each other, you can find those partners that can help you and you can help them. And it's easier for everyone.
All right, we're going to go into a rapid fire Q&A. We got 15 seconds on the clock for every answer. All right, so we're going to start with Jen and Tony. I'll give you both 15 seconds so you can both have your own answer.
We don't share.
First one is, what is the biggest challenge facing you today?
I'll go first and take 2 seconds. Labor. Labor is horrible. Go ahead.
In real estate, lack of inventory and family stuff, it's been navigating COVID and what everyone's comfortable with.
Okay, fantastic. John Horner.
I would say the eviction process right now during COVID has been a real challenge. All the extensions that the judges are giving, and basically if for non-payment of rent, you cannot get a tenant out. That's been very frustrating.
Okay. Justin.
Time management. I mean, just pulled in so many different directions and trying to figure out where I should focus my time.
Tim and Melissa, 15 seconds each.
I would say with a really hot market, it can be a little bit harder to find off-market deals that are actually deals. So that would be a challenge right now from a business perspective. And from a personal perspective, it's just navigating COVID. Everyone has that right now, and having these kids home all the time. I love them, but they're also exhausting.
And for me, it's seeing the forest through the trees. With COVID, 3 kids, so we got a couple of businesses. Feels like we're treading water a lot of times, but kind of seeing the final goal and that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He tells me that all the time.
Next question, we're going to go reverse the order here. If you could give yourself a piece of advice 10 years ago, what would it be? Tim, you're first.
What did he say? Sorry, who did you say first?
Tim's first.
Oh, take Bitcoin seriously.
How do I follow that? I would say don't be afraid to take risks and learn that it's okay to let go and trust the people that if you can trust them, then let them, because you can't do everything by yourself.
Fantastic. Justin.
Take Bitcoin seriously. and learn how to say no. I think that the ability to say no is undervalued.
Mr. Horner.
I would just say grow faster, start earlier. You know, whether you started 5 years ago or today or 5 years from now, you're still going to make the same mistakes. So just start now and get the mistakes out of the way, and you'll be better off for it.
Nice. Jen.
I would say set expectations with clients better from the beginning. With, you know, when I first started out in real estate, I wanted to respond to clients so quick and, you know, get every deal. And I was grasping. I have these babies who are crying at home, and, you know, whereas I should have just told my clients, listen, you know, the kids go to bed at this time. I'll get you afterwards, or I'll get you before. And so that's what I wish I would have done.
Yeah, piggyback on what John was saying, my thought was to be patient. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, there's going to be ups and downs. You're going to make mistakes. Get them out of the way, like John said, and enjoy the ride.
Okay. Last question of the night. Okay, and then if there's any other questions, I haven't seen anything come in yet. But really, we're talking a lot of times about success, which really is kind of, you know, synonymous with dreams or aspirations. Where do you know, everyone talks about dreams, and you have goals, and then you have plans and actions. So what are your dreams for the future? And let's go ahead and start with Mr. Fox.
So our goal is to have probably 30 plus units. That's a number that we're comfortable with. So kind of an ascertainable goal. I love the idea of being able to take my vacations, kind of like you, Mark, and go and stay in properties that are in our portfolio, and have those properties earn us an income along the way when we're not there.
Fantastic. Tim and Melissa, what is your dream of the future?
I think it would be to travel the world together, to be able to just see everything, invite the kids for some portions and some portions not, and just have the the peace of mind to know that we can do that. We've got a good business in place that can run itself without us being there and still be profitable.
Fantastic. Jen and Roger?
I'm gonna go first.
I'm just trying to create processes right now for my business so one day I can actually sell it. So it's not just my job, but a business that I can sell.
Okay.
And I would say, yeah, ultimately just work as much as I want to work. People talk about wanting to retire, and I'm sure at a certain point I'll get to that point, but I really like working. So I want to, kind of have that balance at some point of just working as much as I want to work, but, do all those other things, travel, be with the family, that type of thing.
Okay. And Mr. Horner, what is your dream and aspiration? I'm going to throw in one little twist for you, because there's a really good story there. Because I know everyone knows that you got this huge portfolio. You've done a great amount of stuff to get to where you've gotten to. You shared with me the story the other day that I thought was awesome. So you got two parts. First, you have to tell the story of what you and your wife used to do back when you worked your corporate job. So you just go to work, you and your wife, come home, start from there, tell the story, because people can look at that and say, guess what? You hustled and did all this work to build to where you're at. And then second, give me, where do you want to see yourself grow to,
Right.
in the future, 10, 15 years? Where is your dream scenario?
Right. So the story you're referring to is, so when I got started 8 years ago, I was listening to Sean Terry's podcast, and he was teaching about wholesaling, and that's how I kind of got started. And so we had a 1-year-old, and we both had, my wife's a nurse and I was in corporate, and we'd get home at night and we'd handwrite these letters, right? And we'd send out about 500 a month, which is about as much as our wrists could take writing those things. And that's, we got our first 2 deals off of those, and, made a couple grand and put that money back into marketing. And then I mentioned I met my business partner, and kind of the rest is history. But we have a podcast called Take Action Real Estate, and that's kind of what it's all about. And I'm not promoting that because we don't even do episodes anymore, but that's kind of our philosophy, is like, I know, Nick, we'll get back to it. but that's kind of our philosophy, is just take action. Like if, we have kind of a joke around the office where if you're kind of between yes or no on the risk, just say yes, because it's more fun, right? So yeah, that's how we've grown. As far as the next, 10, 15 years, whatever. I mean, we all have financial goals. We have how many units we want to own then, but then as soon as I hit that, it's going to go up, right? So for me, it's about our team. We have 8 employees now. I just want to grow a happy, healthy team. We've done a lot of hiring and more firing over the last year or so. And so I know what it feels like to work with an unhealthy team. And, we'd had some toxic employees that were a challenge. And I feel like we're at a good, efficient place right now. So I just want to make sure on the hiring side that we're growing the right way. And I feel like that'll make the business, grow much smoother. So.
Awesome. Well, I want to put a special thank you to all the panelists, joining up here and sharing their stories. I think, the real, similar story is that everyone's kind of finding their own path. Some, maybe a real balanced path. They're getting things done regardless of the other challenges in their lives, which I think is a lot of times when I'm always hearing people say, I can't because of, I just don't have this. No, every success story starts with that's not an option. And everyone says when obstacles or challenges are in the way, how do you overcome? That leads to your success stories. And I think every one of our panelists have their own success story and they're building upon that. And hopefully, people who are watching either want to start building their own or continue to grow the one that they're working on. And thank you all for sharing. If anybody needs to get a hold of anybody and they didn't get their information, please don't feel, reach out to some of the coin leadership because maybe you might want to get together or even email or contact with any of them. I'm sure they'd probably all find to just talk with you if you wanted to. If you wanted to know a little bit more about what they do and maybe how you might be able to maybe even do some business together or something. So with that, thank you. And I'll throw it back to Nate.
Awesome. Thank you. I love that what John said there at the end. That's great. If you're on the fence between a yes and a no, just say yes because it's more fun. That is awesome. Because yeah, that's great. I actually do have a follow-up question, and I would like to hear from everyone on this if we can. And that is, as a lot of people reference, typically, what is success? We want the freedom and the time to be with their family, to travel, to do these things. However, most successful people have put in a lot of time grinding, working hard. They've put in hours at some point to get to that freedom that they want in the future. And so my question to you, since you are already at a stage where you have a lot of those things that you define as success, can you pinpoint some things along the way that you had to sacrifice, sacrifice then for what you have now and what you want in the future, to just kind of help balance out what we know where that success is now, but what was maybe some of those things that were sacrificed in the past? And if we can maybe start with Justin.
Well, time, obviously, I think the grind is so important. And I think that doing that, early on in your real estate career or whatever that career is, building that foundation is important. We have a goal to accumulate properties. And if you ask me, my concept, it would be to keep everything that we buy, but we probably sell 2/3 of the projects we get involved with. So, I mean, from a very simple level, we sacrifice 2 out of every 3 deals that we find appealing in order to accumulate in the way that we want to accumulate.
Awesome. How about Melissa and Tim?
I'll take it. So yeah, ironically, I said vacation is our dream. So when we were in the Marine Corps, our only vacations were home for Christmas. And since we've gotten out, it's been grind with business school and everything. We haven't gotten to take vacations. So that's definitely something we've given up that we feel like we missed out on quite a bit, and hope to be able to do more in the future.
Yeah, and I think the time in which Tim did serve in the Marine Corps, and I was essentially on my own raising the kids, and he was definitely wishing he were there. I still chose to maintain a full-time career in higher education, with the foresight that I needed to have some longevity in my career so that one day, perhaps when he would be done serving, he would have his time, right? And be able to go to school and to dedicate himself to that. So we got through all of that and now we're here. And the other piece is I kind of had to have a job because we have to have a job to buy a house. We know that, right? Especially as you're getting started. And so a big part of it was having longevity in a career so that we could build this. And we sort of took turns with those things. And now we're able to sort of grow one aspect of that together.
Awesome, thank you. It's great hearing that we all seem to be sacrificing some time so that hopefully we can have more time. So interesting. John, could we hear your take on that?
Yeah, no, you hit it on the head, and so did they. Time. Like, that's the number one thing. When I was working corporate, I was working 50, 60 hours a week, and it was every night and every weekend. Thank God my wife's a saint and, you know, took care of our baby when I was trying to get it started and everything, and it paid off. But, yeah, we, you know, definitely missed some things, missed some vacations, missed some special occasions and things like that. And I agree with Justin 100%. Like, the goal is to keep everything, right? I actually met with Josh Hively for coffee earlier this week, and I was telling him about the first flip I ever did was in the north part of Clintonville. And back then sold it for 160 grand, and I was elated, right? I just looked up the Zillow estimate before we hopped on. It was 300 grand, right? So if I would have kept that in 6-7 years, it would have almost doubled my wealth, right? So, but like, you know, you gotta pay the bills, you gotta pay the employees, and it's all, I guess, you just gotta keep moving upwards. So.
Thanks, John. And Jen and Tony, how about any sacrifices?
Time. I mean, sleep. I was thinking sleep. You know, I feel like I work a lot late at night. And then I think you do sacrifice things. And you kind of mentioned something earlier about, you know, enjoying the ride. I think sometimes when you're in it, like when I look back and I think about dragging the kids around doing stuff, and I mean, you had them at flip houses doing stuff, and you know, some of the pains that we went through and the budgets. I hate the budgets that you were so strict on, and you know, we gotta, you know, really pare down or whatever. So yeah, definitely going through all that stuff. But
I don't think you'll meet a contractor who ever say they made enough money on a job. So like John was saying, it's, you know, on that Zillow house, you know, every house or job that we do, it's, yeah, it didn't make us what I thought it was going to make on paper. So it's always sacrificing those profits.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for sharing that, because I think that's something that I know that we struggle with. Amanda's also a real estate agent. We manage our properties. I know that a lot of other people in the group struggle with the same thing. And I think one of the reasons for wanting to have this conversation is hearing from people maybe a little farther along in the journey and saying, man, some of those sacrifices are going to pay off if you stick with it. And we know they are, because they have been thus far. But as you know, as ambitious people, like the people on this call right now, I think it's an art form to be learning, when is it time to work really hard? When is it time to make those sacrifices? And when is it time to take some reward, you know? And so I appreciate y'all being willing to be honest about that and to share that with us. And that's going to pretty much do it for us here this evening. Definitely like to thank our panelists. As Mark said, I'm sure anyone on the call would be happy to, you know, reach out or respond to a call from anyone else. So feel free to connect with each other on Facebook, and, you know, continue the conversation offline. The purpose of this group and what we think makes us different from this group or from a lot of other networking groups is it really is about the relationships that we build. And it's these types of conversations that are great for starting relationships, and they're just meant to be a starting point. And I'm really grateful for the people that joined us tonight, being willing to share their experiences and their ideas to contribute to this group. We look forward to having you back for our meetings next month. And if no one else has anything to add this evening, then enjoy the rest of your night. And thank you guys for joining us. Have a good one.
Night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
See you.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.